Notion versus Anytype. Let's see what's under the surface.
Two workspace tools built around structured objects and databases. One stores your data on its servers, readable by the company, accessible according to your subscription status. The other encrypts your data on your device before it ever leaves, stores only encrypted data the company cannot read, and lets you keep everything local if you choose. Notion and Anytype both let you build relational workspaces with typed objects. Notion's horror story is a user locked out of 100 notes after cancelling their subscription, told to pay for 2 years to regain access. Anytype's horror story is a local-only vault that started syncing to external servers after an update, crossing the privacy boundary the user had explicitly configured. One tool holds your data hostage through commercial terms. The other violated its own privacy promise through an engineering failure. The gap between those failures tells you what each tool prioritizes and where each breaks. Notion survived a near-death period and a complete product reset before becoming one of the most recognizable productivity platforms in the world. Ivan Zhao and Simon Last founded it in 2013. The modern version, the blocks and databases workspace that startups and teams adopted as their operating system, emerged from that rebuild. In 2021, the company raised $275 million at a $10 billion valuation. By 2025, annual revenue crossed $500 million and an employee share sale valued it at $11 billion. The artificial intelligence integration launched in private testing the same month conversational artificial intelligence went mainstream and has since expanded to include an agent that takes actions in connected applications. However, the commercial model that funds this scale is the same model that creates the inaccessibility risk. When a cloud-first tool has an outage, the entire workspace disappears temporarily. When a subscription lapses, access to notes built over years can lapse with it. The export function preserves content, but not the relational structure of databases, which means the value built in linking projects to tasks to meeting notes does not transfer. The intelligence features that users on the mid-tier plan built workflows around were moved to a higher price tier. The community's growing pattern is to keep the product for team collaboration and move personal notes to local-first tools. Not because the product is bad, because the risk profile of trusting personal knowledge to a cloud service whose terms keep shifting is a risk they are no longer willing to carry for their private work. Anytype was built to be the answer for the users that Notion's commercial model is pushing away. Anton Pronkin and Jana Sharipova co-founded it in 2018 in Berlin. The object model treats every piece of information as a typed relational object. A book has an author and a reading status. A task has a due date and an assignee. A contact has an email and a company. These objects relate to each other across the entire workspace, viewable as tables, boards, galleries, or graphs. The architecture encrypts data on the device before it leaves. The network stores only encrypted data the company cannot read. Local-only mode keeps data entirely on the device. Self-hosting lets users run their own sync infrastructure. A Swiss non-profit governs the project above a German operating company. But the product is still maturing, and the maturity gaps are concentrated in the areas that matter most to the users it is targeting. A local-only vault started syncing to the company's network after an update, crossing the privacy boundary the user had explicitly configured. An entire workspace of over 100 megabytes was randomly deleted, and support suggested recovering through a network path the user had chosen not to use. The import wizard for migrating data from the cloud-first competitor ran and dismissed itself without importing anything. For users who have built knowledge bases in the cloud tool and want to leave for privacy reasons, an unreliable migration path creates the highest adoption friction at the worst moment. The funding of $13.4 million is significant for an early-stage privacy tool, but modest against the $343 million the cloud competitor has raised. The development pace and polish reflect that difference in resources. The collaboration features are more capable than local-first tools that offer no real-time editing at all, but less mature than what the cloud competitor provides. The mobile applications work on both major platforms and function offline, a structural advantage over any cloud-dependent tool, but the community has documented rough edges. The template ecosystem is growing, but significantly smaller. For a user evaluating the switch, the question is whether the privacy architecture compensates for the capability gap. And that answer depends on how much of the cloud competitor's capability. The direct comparison splits on two axes. The first is data ownership. Notion stores your data on its servers, readable by the company, subject to your subscription status, affected by outages, and partially portable through an export that preserves content but not workspace structure. Anytype encrypts your data on your device, stores only encrypted data on its network that the company cannot read, works offline, and lets you keep everything local or self-hosted. The ownership model is not close. Anytype's architecture is fundamentally more protective of your data. The March 2026 incident, where a local-only vault started syncing to the network, undermines the reliability of that protection, but does not change the architectural advantage. The second axis is capability and maturity. Notion has real-time collaborative editing that no tool in this comparison matches. Multiple people editing the same page simultaneously, with changes appearing in real time. Structured databases with table, board, calendar, gallery, list, and timeline views. An integrated intelligence agent that searches connected applications and takes actions. The largest template ecosystem in this comparison. The most visually polished interface. 500 million in annual revenue funding continuous development. Anytype has typed objects with relations and multiple views, but less mature collaboration, a smaller template ecosystem, lower visual polish, and documented rough edges on mobile. The intelligence features that Notion provides natively do not exist in Anytype. The performance at scale has not been tested the way a product with over a decade of development and hundreds of millions in revenue has been tested. The capability gap is real and reflects a resource difference of roughly 25-1 in total funding. If you need real-time collaborative editing for a team, structured databases with relational properties and multiple view types, integrated intelligence features that can search and act across your connected applications, and the most polished workspace experience available, Notion delivers those capabilities, and no tool in this comparison comes close to matching them. Accept that your data lives on the company's servers. Export regularly. Understand that the export preserves content, but not workspace relationships. Keep a backup strategy that does not depend on the company's continued goodwill. Understand that the intelligence features you build workflows around may move to a more expensive tier because they already have. If you want structured, typed objects with relations across your workspace, encrypted on your device, with offline-first operation, native mobile applications, and a governance structure designed to prioritize users over investors, Anytype is the answer for privacy-conscious users who need more structure than a folder of text files provides. Accept that the product is still maturing. Verify your sync mode configuration after every update. Test the import path with a small subset before migrating an entire workspace. Maintain backups independently of the sync system. The choice between Notion and Anytype is the choice between capability and ownership. Notion gives you the most capable collaborative workspace in this comparison, funded by 500 million in annual revenue, and asks you to trust that the terms under which you access your work will remain acceptable as the business evolves. Anytype gives you the most privacy-protective architecture in this comparison, funded by 13.4 million, and asks you to accept that the product is still working out how to reliably deliver on its most fundamental promise. One tool is finished but conditional. The other is unconditional but unfinished. Neither gives you both. The question is which gap you would rather live with, because both gaps are real, and both affect how safe your knowledge is over the years you plan to keep building there.